So we know how you must be feeling blah, 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 blah. Because there's just stuff you got to deal with. Esther said to someone that she loves more than life itself the other night, suck it up. She couldn't believe it came out of her mouth. And the reason she said it was because in what Esther saw as the most perfectly designed and orchestrated environment that is even possible upon this planet, this person was complaining about the specifics of that moment. And Esther knew there was no hope for that person in that moment. No condition could be adjusted to make it better. And Esther realized with such vivid awareness, it was shocking to her how clear she understood this in this moment. Maybe for the first time in her life, she understood what we've been going on and on and on and on and on about unconditional alignment. Because you can create the most, from your point of view, amazingly wonderful conditions, and there are going to be people around you who don't get how wonderful they are, who are still going to complain about where they are. And so, as Esther is saying to this person she loves, more than life itself, suck it up, we were saying the same thing to Esther. Now you're using someone unhappy with a condition as the condition that you're unhappy about. You sort of get how this goes? It's sort of like the chain of pain. It's like, if you'll be different, I'll feel better. But since you're not being different, I won't feel better. And we say, if you'd be different, you'd feel better. If you would care about how you feel more than anything else. So now we want to say something to you that you've heard us say on many occasions, but you have never heard it as clearly as you're going to hear it and feel it right now. When we talk about alignment, we're talking about allowing. And when we talk about allowing, we're talking about connection or alignment with who you really are. When we talk about allowing or alignment, we're talking about the opposite of resistance or disallowing. We're talking about allowing, aligning. In fact, we call this the art of allowing. It is an art. You learn how to be in the state of allowing. So when you understand that it's the art of allowing, it's the art of allowing who you are and what you want to flow into your experience, because you're no longer doing those things you do that prevent it, now you begin to catch the glimpse. You begin to understand that it's all about you controlling your point of attraction. So when we talk about allowing in comparison to resisting, what we really want you to hear in a way that you've never heard it before is that there is a momentum in this energy stream that you've got going on. And sometimes, if you've been complaining about something, if you've been focusing upon it, if you've been talking to other people about it, you have a momentum going, a momentum of resistance that's in the way right now of your allowing. But what we really, really, really want you to understand is that you were born with such a stream, a powerful stream, a momentum of well-being, that you cannot ever disconnect yourself from that stream of well-being. It's dominant. Oh, you can pinch yourself off and you can make yourself miserable and you can cry and complain when it really isn't necessary. You can feel as bad as you decide you're willing to let yourself feel, or you can decide to feel as good as you are willing to let yourself feel. But we want you to understand that it's your choice, and it's time to stop giving the blame to the circumstances that you can't control for the way you feel, when there is so much about the way you feel that you can control. So here's the piece that we know will help you with that. This momentum of well-being that is really who you are is the path of most allowance. Now we're going to translate that to you so that you can hear it in human terms with your "we love you so much" negative human ears. The path of least resistance is the same thing as the path of most allowance. And what that means, and people around you are not going to like hearing it from you very much, So don't say it out loud, just know it. Or say it and get ready for the trouble it will make for you. We want you to just try for a little while to practice for yourself the path of least resistance. And what that means is not putting up with conditions that detract you from your alignment. Not demanding that others change, because they're not going to change for you. If they could change, they'd do it for themselves. Don't ask others to feel good just because it feels good to feel good. Feeling good is just far too big a price that some people are not willing to pay. In other words, sometimes they've just got enough momentum going that they just can't feel good. Sometimes the circumstances just feel so big that it feels like you just can't get around it. But you can. You can every single time. And what you want to do, you want to start practicing the path of least resistance. So what that means is, let's just throw out some screwy examples. So there's a bunch of you trying to decide where to go to dinner. And everybody's got a different idea. And you've always been a sort of harmony person. You sort of are like a chameleon. You go with the flow. You don't make a big deal out of it. You're willing to go just about anywhere because you're going for the food, but you're going for the fun. And so, but they're all bickering about where they want to go and what they want to eat. The path of least resistance is to get in your car and go away from them. That's the path of least resistance. Don't stand there and ask them to be good. They're not practiced at that. They're not practicing harmony. So, okay, Abraham, what are you saying? So there's a group of significantly selfish people, and you tell us that selfishness is good, and they cannot come to agreement on what they want to eat. And we say, well, maybe they can come to agreement. We're just saying if they don't, you come to agreement with what you want to eat and go eat it. And you say, but wait, I don't want to be alone. We say, then you're in trouble. Because if you decide you don't want to be alone, then sometimes what that means is I'm going to follow the path of most resistance in order to not be alone. In other words, so as this day goes forward, we'll play with this a little bit. And as the next days of your life go forward, we think it would be a good idea if you practice it a little bit, where you just decide moment by moment, especially when you bump up against something, what is the path of least resistance? If you've got a drawer, Esther calls it her everything drawer. She actually has a room like that too. She actually has a room everywhere she lives, sort of like that. It's sort of a staging room. It's sort of a room where things that don't need to be tended to right now are. And she tells you, if you come to her house, don't go in that room, it can hurt you. But if you've got a drawer, and every time you open it, it frustrates you, gives you frustration because you can't find anything in it, the path of least resistance might be to clean out the drawer, to just take a bit of time and clean it up. So we want you to understand that we are not encouraging you to run away from conditions that are not pleasing. Not forever. Eventually, we do want you to clean out the drawer. But in the middle of your frustration, that's not the time to do it. In the middle of your frustration, that's not the time to clean out the drawer. You won't have your wits about you. You'll throw things away that you're going to need later. You won't remember where you put them. You'll clean it out and it'll be worse. That's why you keep not cleaning it out. Last time you cleaned it out, you couldn't find anything for a month. So what we're getting at here is we want you to find some way of discovering for yourself, because no one else can discover it for you. What is the path of least resistance here and now? What, in other words, what is the path of most allowing? What can I do? What can I say? Where can I be? What can I think that will allow the most of me to be present? Because you have resources of clarity and resources of knowing and resources of guidance that will give you the most blissful experience as you move through life experience. We can't even define how magnificent it will be. The orchestration of well-being on your behalf is so sublime. Every now and again, something will happen that Esther just finds so amazing. And we'll say, are you kidding? That's child's play. We're keeping your earth spinning in perfect proximity to other planets. In other words, the well-being, the orchestration, the continuation of well-being on your behalf. We want you to try to wrap your head around that and begin to understand how blessed you are and how fortunate you are and how in the right place at the right time you are, and how even this problem that you want to go away is producing for you significant value if you will relax and stop railing against it. Stop condemning yourself for being in the middle of it. Stop condemning anybody else who's in the middle of it, and instead accept it as an indication of a pattern of vibration that you're working the bumps out of in order to live your blissful life experience. So did you hear what we said? Do you get it that we don't want you anymore to try to control conditions in order to feel good? We want you to get out ahead of them. Our favorite question that anyone ever asked us, and the favorite answer that we gave them, this person said, Abraham, how do you get rid of doubt? And we said, you get rid of it before it starts. You get rid of it before you get it, which was totally annoying to everyone who heard it. Because when you've got it, it's too late. Abraham, what are you talking about? Get rid of something that I've got before I've got it? You crazy ghost. How can that be? I've got it. I need to get rid of it. And we say, when you go to sleep tonight, the momentum of having it will subside. And when you wake up in the morning, you won't have it unless you go after it. And if you go after it, you'll get it again. You could wake up every morning and go get down again and use it as the club that you beat yourself over the head with. You could get up every morning and go get blame and beat yourself over the head with it all day long. But when you go to sleep at night, that momentum subsides. And tomorrow, you don't have that doubt unless you go get it and reactivate it again. You weren't born with it, and it's not following you every step of the way. In fact, the opposite is what is with you every step of the way. We liked this conversation.